Hello. This video is intended to give you an overview of the renewal process. These are usually completed a few months before the end of your contract. The two intakes are February and August. So it's done for February usually in about November, and for August usually in about May. The paperwork will be sent via official paper through the electronic mail through the NICE system to all the schools, and your co-teacher will be responsible for handling it. If they miss it, which they often say they didn't receive it, somebody will always call looking for it, so there's nothing to worry about it. It will get taken care of. The process itself includes an evaluation by your schools as well as your renewal paperwork to fill out regarding what your intentions are. So first, the evaluation. It's made up of 4 sections. So the first one is regarding your absences, sick days, business trips. It's just a record of any time away from work or special things that you've done through the year. Then we get into the actual scored portions with the next 2, which is the first one being worth 30% is the character section. So they're looking at just general personality, maybe about your lifestyle, just things like this. Then the third section would be about your teaching ability. So they're looking at like your prep, how engaging your classes are. Within this 70%, there's also a 10% portion for your students to fill out to give you a grade out of 10, and also co-teachers that score your class out of 10. So those 2 sections. Okay, so that one is 70, with the other one 30. It's a total of 100. And the fourth and final section is just where the principal signs off on it, saying that he agrees with the evaluation, and he or she agrees with the evaluation, and that they will send this official paper on to our office, who will then look after it. In the case where a principal might not want you to renew even though your score is good, then in that case I would talk to you about options, possibly transferring you. And I've seen this in a very rare occasion, maybe due to budget, where the school doesn't want to pay the 2.7 special salary level, where they might be able to afford the 2.3. This will happen more at like an English town as opposed to a regular public school that has the traditional budget for the public school. Again, this is very rare. Maybe another one is just where they would want to change a pace. They've had a teacher for a while and whatever, they just want to do it the Korean way and have someone new every 4 years. Again, these are both uncommon. So the current scoring system is an A, B, or C grade, and the corresponding numeric values are A, 90 to 100, B, 80 to 89, and C is anything from 79 and under. So if you get an A, everything is great. That's where we want to be. B should be considered more as a warning, because if you get 2 consecutive Bs, then they won't renew your contract. Or if you get 3 Bs overall, they won't renew your contract. So we want to get an A. If you get a B, just try to do what you can to improve and try to ensure you get an A the next time. If you have 79 or under, then there is an issue, and we can't renew you. Obviously, we can look into it if you feel it was unjust, or maybe often it's to do with a personal beef between you and the co-teacher or some staff member at the school. And if that's the case, we can look into it to see if, is this really a legit score that this teacher deserves. I think often if the teacher's getting a score in a C level, they often expect it, so it doesn't come as a surprise. But if you're expecting this and you feel it's because of unfair reasons from the beginning, you should really address it with me so we can talk about it and work on improving things, so the school kind of can hear your side of the story, and you can know what their expectations are clearly through us, so we can help you succeed. We don't want you to renew. we would rather keep a teacher continuing at a school than bring in a new teacher. Two things to keep in mind with the scoring system. It's a very inflated score, with the average being somewhere between the mid 90s and low 90s, so probably about 93 or so. So the score of an A is very obtainable, okay? And there are very few C's given. Again, if someone's getting a C, often they may expect it, or they've been having issues, so it doesn't come as a huge surprise. But that can sometimes not be the case, and again, we can help you work on that if that ever happens. Your renewal paperwork, there is a section for you to fill out, and there's usually 5 sections in this. One is personal information, name, info, stuff like this. Then your renewal selection. Do you want to renew? Are you going to resign and finish your contract to go elsewhere? Or maybe you want to renew but you wish to transfer. Okay. Then there'll be the transfer section. I'll talk more about that. A self-medical, and the personal questions. The personal questions used to be within the renewal package, and you were supposed to send them back. But now what I ask that they do is that they don't have the school send them back, because then the school can read what you have to say about them, and that's kind of not very good for your relationship. So we ask that you email them directly to me, and then I will add them to the file. Okay. For the transfer request, this only needs to be filled out by those who are wishing to renew and transfer. If you transfer, we view it as the same as a renewal in terms of finances and allowances and such. You can indicate up to 4 preferences for your transfers. Okay, this could be as specific as a certain school that you know someone's leaving and you wish to go to that school, or maybe it could be, you know, a little more vague in terms of I would like to go to this city, this area. I would like to go to this area, this level school. The more information I have, the better I can work on getting you a placement that is suitable to you. And I will communicate with you throughout. Even if it's what I believe the school you wish, I still usually communicate with you just to make sure that everything is going the way that will work best for everyone. Okay. It's really difficult in the sense that we don't know the positions that are going to be available until we get your paperwork back, but you really need to know what's available to, you know, indicate your preference. So it takes a little bit of investigative work on your part to see who's leaving, ask around your friends and stuff, certain areas within the group pages or whatever you can ask. I will put a post on Facebook usually a little bit before, asking people about, you know, these are who will be leaving these positions. Please post your school, the area and the level, and then people who are interested can maybe contact you to see whether they would want to transfer there or not. So I'll ask people to do that so you can have a look to see what positions might be popping up on that. And if I have a list of any unfilled positions, you know, these days with COVID, we've been short on the intake, so we do have some unfilled, so I can usually post those, and that can be some choices for people too. Obviously, we need to look at seniority. So if a teacher's been here 10 years, they're going to get seniority over a placement as opposed to someone who just arrived last year. We will look at kind of other factors, but that's the main one, and that could be to do with special services. For example, if somebody was on a faraway island, and we know that that is a difficult position, we're going to give them a little bit more they will get the position they want over someone who may have the same seniority but was working in a city the last year. Okay. So after all this paperwork is returned to our office, we'll analyze it. We can look at the transfers and I'll communicate them with you. Then we can decide how many teachers need to be hired, and that's when we approach EPIC or possibly our other recruiters to fill those positions. So in this case, it brings us to the ARC card. And I noted before that your ARC card is just, your visa is just for entering the country. Once you get here, you have to apply for that ARC within 90 days. And then your ARC is what is important. So you're renewing your ARC card. They update the address and things on that card. Okay, so your ARC, what needs to be updated, and when you want to renew that, you need the following things. You need a passport, you need your ARC card, of course. The fee for updating it is currently 60,000 Korean won. This may be in the form of what they call a suip inji. It's kind of like some kind of special postage stamp, I guess. I'm not sure what the English translation would be, but it's a type of stamp. But now I think in most offices you can just buy it within the office, and then you just give them money and they take care of it. I think even I know in the Yosu office they have a special bank machine where you can just make the payment through the bank machine. So usually the offices have some way of doing the payment within the office. Okay, there's the application form, and this is form number 34. It's readily available in the offices, but you can find it online if you wanted to fill it out ahead of time, just to be prepared and make sure you have all the information you need. You can check it out under the files section on the Hi Korea, the immigration homepage, Hi Korea, that's HI Korea.go.kr. You also need the following things from your school, and if you're transferring, these can be obtained through your future school. The other thing about transferring is if you're transferring, you need to go to the immigration of the office of where you will be working. So you need to go to the office that's applicable to that area. You can't go to an immigration office in an area you won't be working. So if I was in Mokpo, but I knew I was going to be working over in Yosu and my transfer, I would need to go to the office in Yosu. So from your school, you need the business registration certificate. I can send the provincial one around, but sometimes it's good to take the school one also. You need proof of taxes and income. So that receipt of tax and salary withholding form. I've talked about this several times, tax video and other things. I'll send that around at this time. You need a contract, one original and one copy. Usually when we send the contracts around, we send you 3, one for you, one for immigration, and one that has to be sent back to our office. You need a teaching schedule. If you don't have a schedule yet, especially if you're doing this in the summer or something, you just kind of make one or use the past schedule and tell them you expect it to be the same. And you need a housing contract, so you need to prove you have somewhere to live. Okay. Immigration's getting a lot more strict with things now, and they're requiring, things like these taxes, and they're checking for all the paperwork. You can renew up to 90 days before the expiry of your ARC, so you can check the back of your ARC for the expiration date, or 14 days from the start of your new position, whichever comes first. So even if your visa is still valid, but you're approaching that 14 days from the new contract start, you need to visit before that 14-day period, okay? Or you can still be fined. So be careful. It's always better to go sooner than later to avoid any fines. Also, it's your obligation to report any important changes involving your stay in Korea, whether it be employer, addresses, a new passport number. These things have to be done, or you can be fined also, and the fines can be steep, upwards of 500. I've even heard of 1 million, but nobody in this province yet, luckily. They've also made some changes to the renewal application regarding your passport recently. So basically, if your passport is only valid for, let's say, 6 months into your new contract, they will only renew your ARC until that 6-month period, until that passport expires. So essentially, you would need to get the new passport, and then you would have to go renew your ARC again. Okay, so what they're encouraging you to do is get the passport sorted out before actually applying, and then you can apply for the full 1-year renewal. Okay, so just a couple of quick notes on the finances. Upon renewal, you're entitled to the contract completion bonus of 1.3 million, because you would have completed the entire contract. If this wasn't your first contract and you completed what was a renewed contract, your second, third, fourth, however many contracts, you're entitled to the $700,000 contract renewal allowance in addition to that contract completion bonus, so $2 million. Okay. On your first renewal, you should only expect $1.3 million, but every other subsequent renewal, you should expect $2 million, including when you go home. So on your final contract, when you're ready to go home, if you've worked multiple contracts, you still will get $2 million. Trips to renew your ARC and immigration are considered business trips. It's essential for work. There are two types of business trips depending on whether your immigration is located in your own area or outside your local area. So it needs to be in the same city or county as where you work, or it's not a local business trip. So number one is local business trip, and two is a domestic business trip. I did a thing on the NICE system about this specifically for immigration visits, so I'll drop the link and you can look at that. And last thing is the immigration hotline number is 1345. You can call them. They have English speaking reps and they can help you out. And then you also have the High Korea webpage where you can communicate with them on there. It's also important to remember that some immigrations, I know Gwangju office now require appointments before visiting, so you should contact them. You can do it through the web page, or you can do it by calling and book an appointment. For the Osu and Mokpo offices, because they're smaller, you don't need to yet, but for the Gwangju office, you do. Okay, so that covers that. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know, and I will be happy to answer them.